which is 99.9% of the time the case. So let me show you how we use Inkling Habitat to build promos as an example. I'm going to make this full screen just so I have all the real estate I can use. But just keep in mind that this is all happening in Chrome, it's just in a regular web browser. On the left-hand side, I have a little view of all of my titles here. You can see I have the Atlas of Anatomy, I've got Biology. I'm going to hop into Farmers France Day by Day, and when I click, on the left-hand side, it loads up a list of objects that make up the title, and in the center I get a preview. And why don't we hop into that same stuff that I just showed you. Here's Paris and Ile-de-France. And when I click, there's a preview of how that content is going to look on an iPad. Now, that's what it's going to look like on an iPad. If the user has his settings set to 100% font size, you can always, of course, adjust the font size. How can I preview this at a different size? Well, what do I want to see what it's going to look like on an iPhone? If I scroll down here, you'll see that there are images that view on the web and on an iPad, but there's not enough real estate on an iPhone for that. So when I click and change my canvas to mobile, it instantly reflows the content for iPhone, shows me exactly what it's going to look like on any iPhone, and you'll see that things like the images change, little map of France disappears to make room. Everything's automatically reflowing, and you can see that I can change from the minimum allowable web width up to the pulled out window in the web browser. Instantly, I can change the font size and see how that's going to look. There was a conversation this morning in the production track about how you manage fonts. We manage fonts already. Deliver those fonts to the app, and deliver the fonts over the web, so you never have to worry about that stuff. Now, this is a collaborative tool. How is content actually produced? Well, it turns out that I have some tickets here. So you can see that if I scroll down, someone created a ticket asking for a change in the content. I come in and make modifications to the underlying code. I can come into edit mode, and I can actually double click on any object to get an editable preview. You can see that, I don't know what you guys are able to see there, but when I mouse over objects, it actually highlights the object. If you double click, modify it, and save it to the repository instantly. We looked at Paris in one day, and you'll see over here there are a number of links. Here it's saying that this is the only H3 that should be optional on this card. And you see what optional means is just that these dots, the 1, 2, 3 on the left-hand side, there are sort of mandatory stops on the guided tour, and then there are these circular hollow 4s that indicates that that's an optional stop on tour. This was an error at some point, but I don't see an error now. Well, it turns out that this error actually was created in revision 1540 of the content, and we're looking at revision 1549. Every single time you make a change to any content in Habitat, it stays a revision. And so you have infinite revision history where you can roll anything back at any point in time. So if somebody in a production center for you goes through and makes a huge pile of changes that were all incorrect, you can instantly roll those back. So if I click on this revision number, you'll see that it rolls it back, and sure enough, there was an error here. Turns out that there was a misplaced tag, and all of these headlines turned red and became optional. But it was very easy for them to fix. We created a ticket, assigned it to the production vendor, and said, please fix this, and then in the latest revision, it's fixed. Very, very straightforward. If I wanted to modify that headline for Paris in one day, I could look at this if I wanted to, or I could just do this. Mouse over the object, change it, Paris in 74 days, and you can see that it's updating it inline, it's updating it with all of the CSS applied, and I can instantly now preview how that content is going to look on any of the devices we support. So here it is on an iPhone, here it is on an iPad. So the ticketing system is a really robust way for work groups to collaborate with the content, hand things off to vendors, get them back, produce the XML that you need, all of it stored in the cloud and instantly available to end user. Now what if you wanted to quickly see all of this content at a glance? There's some really, really powerful features here. So let's say that I just wanted to see Paris and Ile-de-France. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go to Burgundy. We want to see all the Burgundy cards. And so we're going to go out and fetch all of the Burgundy content. I'm going to close this drawer on the left-hand side just to make more room. And here it's rendered to full size. I'm going to zoom out to half size. And here is all my content for Burgundy. And if I want to preview Burgundy for the mobile phone again, I can switch it, and it instantly reflows all of that content for the iPhone. Notice that I am not editing XML. There are people who have had edited XML to get to this point, but they're in production vendors that I'll talk about in a moment. So really, really slick and very easy for an editor or a production person to spot problems with layouts, flag them, ticket them, send want to see all of those cards at the very beginning, those introduction cards. We can go out and set all of the introduction cards across the content. So here's the introduction card for the best of France, the introduction card for Paris, the introduction card for Loire Valley. All of this stuff should be consistent, and so a production editor can sit there and instantly see that all of the layouts are exactly the way that they intended to be. There's a lot of computer science behind this. And it works really, really beautifully because we're producing more content today at Inkling with a small number of people that we've got in a format like this than anybody we know anywhere else. So, I'm going to keep motoring. You can imagine that Inkling Habitat has a ton of meat underneath how you create content from scratch. Just by dragging and dropping out patterns, handing off specifications to production people to do all the heavy lifting for you, where you can instantly see all of the work that's going on for you in the Philippines or India or wherever you do your production, even if it's in-house, right inside Inkling Habitat in real time. And then with a single click, build that content and push it out across all of the different devices that Inkling supports. So Inkling Habitat is object-oriented, structured content that works beautifully across all devices. It's cloud-based, it's got infinite revision history, and it's something that we're going to be making available to all publishers and work groups this fall. Something that we hope you're all willing to jump on board and try with some content. We have some tremendous partnerships already today that are generating awesome titles in academic, do-it-yourself, all kinds of different market segments. Tara and Innodata collectively have over 500 people in their digital production centers in a few countries throughout Asia that are ready today to actually take specifications and publish and build them. That's what you're seeing us do with things like the Promos guides. The publishers that we work with today are bringing more and more brands to the Inkling platform. You've seen Promos. Promos is going to be introducing a whole new set of travel guides in time for the fall travel season. You're going to see some really exciting medical content from a ton of our medical publishers, which is a very strong segment for us. You can imagine you just can't have a decimal out of place on a dosing schedule in a medical book. Otherwise, you can have some flat lines on the stretcher. O'Reilly, which we announced at TOC this summer, will be launching a whole series of missing manuals. Their entire OTX titles with the animals on the front, where you'll be able to